The great thing about the body is all it does is it holds memory back there and it just needs to be touched. Does anyone here know what I do? Hands up that have experienced what I've done. Okay. Could I have someone out here that has... Do you mind coming out here? Do you mind? You prefer not? That's okay. Look, I appreciate anyone who's willing to come out. Would you like to come out, please? Or the big gentleman over the back. Have you had this before? Did you indicate you've had this before? Then thank you. Do you mind if I bring you out here for me, please? While I'm doing this, I don't want people to think, hey, it's a setup. Good. How you going?
Hi.
Good. Do you mind if you show them just the movement in your shoulder? I'd like you to just lift your arm up for me, please, and show them where you start to feel the stretch. About here? About there. There's a bit of an issue here. I'm going to do something very quickly, and I'm going to go to one of those indicators, and we're going to find out what happens. Just relax that there for a minute. We'll let your computer take this information on. And good. Thank you. Would you like to lift that arm up as high as you can now, please? What was that expression?
Didn't feel the resistance.
There's no resistance.
No.
You knew you had a problem?
No.
What if I was to return it? Like, I hate to be accused of changing people when they didn't want it. So while that memory, before it's taken on this change fully and locked it in, I'm going to see what happens if I reverse the switch. He's got a twitch coming in. Remember, I'm only looking to see what happens. Would you like to lift this up for me now, please? What? So that's what you were like. It's just to let you know where you come from. Would you like to go back to where we had you? Would you like me to? This is saying, hey, that can't happen. Well, we'll just do the generous thing, seeing I'm in Wales, and I'm just going to reactivate. Here I'm going to what I consider the switch. The switch is on the wall, not on the muscle. If I know where the switch is, I can turn certain muscles on. And it has a specific. It needs to be switched. But because some of us are a little bit disbelieving, we need to do it in a 3-time series in this case, so his brain will actually accept what I've done. I then give him time to reevaluate, in other words, for his computer to go through and reset the program. Now lift it as high as you can, please. Not sure about it? Oh, sorry about that. Would you do it now, please? Here what I've done is affect his bicep. The bicep, he came out, someone says, how can you tell it from back there? The way the man was sitting was telling me he had his hand slightly cocked forward. A lot of tension within his bicep. It's nothing to see. There's 2 heads to a bicep. They all come to join together here, but this one up here was still catching him a little bit. So this is what I've actually done. I've gone and created. You imagine, thanks for that, I really do appreciate it, thank you. Anyone who comes out, appreciate it. Today we're talking about general carers and how to help them. What if you had a person you're looking after and they have difficulty reaching up and getting things out of the wardrobe? Now, one of the things that you can do is you can go and do it for them. That's a good carer would. But what if you empowered them to do it for themselves? Rather than you going picking the things up all the time, what if we were able to do something as simple as that to allow a person to get control back and help themselves? What if the carer who was picking up somebody hurt or strained that bicep, and then they had difficulty going and working with their other clients who relied on them? What if a small move like that could create that change and give you back that freedom to work through this? It's a simple little move, given the right place, and I like to say that nearly all muscle movements, there is a switch, and it's just on the wall. Everyone who comes to me and says, who have had anatomical training, they'll say, but you are not on the psoas. You are not on this. I didn't say I was. I said I'm out to influence. And by that I mean I don't have to touch the light to turn it on. I hit the switch on the wall. And that's what we forget sometimes. We're letting everything being drafted out to us in such a way that it misleads us instead of going what's natural. Going back to some of my history is, first off, I have a couple of advantages. One is I'm dyslexic, very dyslexic. So what I do is I rely a lot on what I see. I don't keep notes, I keep memories. And everything is collated in my brain as a picture. So when I look at you, I remember a person who had the same thing. Do you understand what I'm saying here? I don't have to look up a book or see whether it fits somebody else's belief patterns. I believe in myself. So as a young child, I was in an orphanage for a couple of years, and in that time at 6, I got a lot of self-belief. I had to. I was a boxer for many years, from a very young boy up to early manhood, where the information of my opponent, he's never going to tell me anything. So again, I had to rely on my skill to observe. I then went as a young man and worked first job after going through a couple of schools. I went and I worked for animal research. Here I had a captive audience and I liked animals. I couldn't go and help them because this was an experimental station where we had to watch what a disease or an item did to this animal and put it down. But I didn't like seeing them limp around, so I do little touches that created changes. I often remember back to a time someone says, when do you first remember doing this? And I said, I love dogs. I said, and I can remember sitting with one of the first dogs I knocked off, had. I went out and I wasn't allowed to have one, so I gathered this little dog from a neighbourhood and hid it somewhere. But I'm sure I drove that dog mad because I used to sit there and found if I touched it somewhere on the side, it used to do this all the time. Yeah? So I would tantalise this dog by pressing this point. It was only one day I noticed that when I pressed it, he had a quiver coming down in his buttock. So what I did was I hit this and he'd start to scratch with the other leg, and I then put a corresponding finger on this point and he stopped. So again, I drove the dog mad by seeing how often he could do this as I put it on and off. This was where my curiosity took me. I was an Australian dog judge and I used to do this on animals before I did people. And I remember once doing a man, I'm an animal trainer and I enjoyed it. I was doing a dog and I noticed the poor dog had a limp. And I went up and I did something to the dog. The next day the bloke come back to see me, that's a man in your case. This bloke come back to see me and he said, hey listen mate, what'd you do with my bloody dog? And of course I went, why? And he says, well, you fixed this limp, I got the same bloody limp, mind doing the same thing to me? There come the start. And this is where it's gone to. I think what it is a simple technique, and it's meant to do for simple things. I don't go out and anatomically train you. I just give you back your senses. And I watch the changes within you. I don't need to go and know all the roadmaps as it is. I say to my students, people, they're not actually my students, but the people who come and learn with me. Once you know where to go, why do you keep looking at the map? And I just draw mud maps. And I did a class once which proved this. I gave this half of the room a mud map and I said, I want you to go 2K down the road, turn right, a 2K turn right, then the first street left and the third house up on the corner, from the corner. Then I gave these people here a list of words, the names of streets. Go down Main Street, find Bracken Street, turn up along such and such street and go to 38. Who do you think got there first? This side. A simple direction, just a simple direction. Not having to run through the map to trace out where the street was. It was a simple direction. Afterwards, after they'd got there, they could go back and trace out where the street was because they'd already made their destination. So here was the plus. A little bit on the technique itself. Everything I base my technique about is to do with the core work. Most of it's to do with the psoas muscle, a core, what I call a fear reflex. When we're sick, we bunch up. Most of our problems come from here, and my job is to stretch you out and get you to stand up straight. At 66 years of age, I want everyone to start to walk and feel as comfortable as I do. And that's coming back to that carers bit. What if, would you like to come out, please? Gentleman here? Yeah, do you mind? Do you play golf? What sport do you have? Sorry? I didn't ask whether you played good, I just asked if you played golf.
I have done, yes.
Yes, you have done. I thought you had. Would you mind just squeeze my hand as hard as you could for me, please? Are you Welsh?
I am. I'm proud.
Proud? Well, would you like to prove it to me? You can squeeze as hard as you can, please. You can start when you're ready. How's it going? Are you getting there?
Not bad.
Yes. Now watch this man. I said he's a golf player. I want you to twist my arm for me, please. Just squeeze my arm, twist it left or right, whichever way you want. Squeeze my hand. Twist my arm, please. Twist hard as you can. You got it? Not too good, is it?
No.
How about the other way? Squeeze. This man now, he's got no power in here. It's a bit wussy. He's got no power in here, and he's now starting to rely on the shoulder. His power from his forearm is gone, and you can feel it happening. What has happened is he wears these beautiful heavy watch. Would you mind taking that off for me? Special gift? Did they like you? I'm just going to do something before that. I'm just going to do, by touch alone, remind his brain of what this can coordinate like. Because right now, when I do that, hold that little finger and thumb together for me without the others interfering. You got it? Yeah. You got it? Okay. Not you. That's cheating, using 3. I only want 2. I'm using 1. I'll give you 2. All right?
Okay.
How's that? What's happened here is I'm watching something out of something he's wearing creating an issue. I'm going to take out a little place on his forearm to remind the muscle of what it's capable of doing. Can you feel that? No, it's useless. Yeah? That's what I reckon. I don't know what the hell he's trying to tell you. Just relax it there for a minute. What I'm waiting for is a time frame for him to make a little move, and he's doing it with his body where that brain reevaluates the information that's been put in. Now if you'd like to squeeze my hand for me, please. Is that different?
Yes.
It is certainly different, isn't it? Now here's the part that's surprising, seeing you didn't understand that. Twist my arm for me now, please. Other way. You Welsh are improving. You might beat us yet. Can you feel a difference?
Yes.
What happens is that the watch is so heavy that when he puts it on, it's weighty, and he came out, as he got up to walk out there, he actually shook his wrist like this to get it to settle a bit. Would you like to put your watch back on? And it's like a loose shoe. It has a state of irritation, and this is creating what's developing in him a shoulder issue. He also, from this here, is creating a neck issue. Shake that around like you did as you come for me. You ready?
It's tight.
Yeah. Squeeze. Well, would you like to tell them? I know. Tell them.
Yeah, different.
It's different.
Oh, yeah.
So really, when he put that on, and it's because of the weight of it, if it was a nice little band that sat there neat, it wouldn't have the same influence. Because I've got him to put it on before his brain has taken on all this information, basically he's gone back to state of irritation. Does that make sense here? Thank you for that. You're a pleasure.
Thank you.
You've changed my opinion of the Welsh. We might beat you at the next game. Is there anyone else who'd like to come out? How did your arm go, by the way?
Great.
Sorry, just the lady up the back. And your shoulder? Sorry?
Feeling a lot looser.
Yes. You were surprised, weren't you?
Yeah.
How long had you had the injury?
Year last October.
Do you mind coming out and sharing with them? Because she just come past our store outside, and this is what we mean about assisting carers, because here is a person who really did need some assistance. You don't mind this?
No, that's
Right.
fine.
I just happened to notice, and when I said, would you like some help? That was true.
Yes.
And she said, I can't hold things or that in there. Got her to take this off, and her arm was quite swollen. I mean, very swollen. By doing some very little work on this forearm and here, you were able to squeeze my...
Yes.
Would you like to show what you can do now? Because I know what's happened since then. Would you take that off? This person could not hold this point. Yes?
Yes.
Here now she's squeezing. The other thing she couldn't do was lift her arm up. Would you show him how well you do that behind you?
Yeah. That's up a lot better.
Now this was what she did before, and she couldn't get her hand behind her head. And you'd been like that for how long?
Year and a half.
A year and a half. How long did it take me at the stall to do this?
Minutes.
Minutes. No rebates. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing that. Because this was just a 5-minute move. Now, like any good therapist, we're open to questions. So if you've got some, I'd like to attempt to answer them as best I can. And, you know, this is the best way. If you've got something, ask the man who does it. It's a big thing to put out a therapy named after yourself, because I've got to wear the good with the bad. And so a great thing about therapists is if something doesn't work, always blame your technique. Huh? Never the driver, just the car. So is there anyone got any questions here? Yes, please.
Are there any contraindications to anyone receiving treatment?
Not that I'm aware of. I will always do it. And if a person finds that it isn't a comfortable place, as you've seen with the gentleman here, I'd return it to its original state. If I get it quick enough, we can return it back to that state. So if there is a contraindication, it's like a light switch. Once you switch it on, there is a time frame that you can switch it back to its previous memory. And so I can hit it back. Once that person has got to move around with it and got comfortable, you can't turn them off. They like where they are and they're staying there. So again, this is up to the individual then. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has anything they'd like? Yes, please.
You normally say it makes nice. You know, I'm on level 5 at the moment on a net. You normally, after you've done something make nice, you just...
Yes. For anyone who is used to body work, there's a place called an anchor. I'm also done in hypnotherapy, many of things. And there's a place called an anchor. That means if I poke you, quite often you can walk out here and you're still carrying that point. You're focusing on that point for quite some time. And therefore it doesn't allow your brain to come in and focus on the changes going through your body. So what I do is when I call it making nice, is I brush it, just gently brush with the back of my hand, take away the focus from that, and there is actually a feeling of release and relax. You could feel it when I did it to you. I just very quickly did that, and your focus just went away from that point. Is that true? And it allows the sensation to run through your arm. and therefore it's travelling the whole length. It's not fixing your brain on that point. I also did it with you, yes. And when I did it, you're thinking, what the hell? And then there's a sensation of release and relax. Does that help you? Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
If somebody's got arthritic conditions in their joints and things,
Yes.
can it still help them to release?
First off, I don't treat diseases or organs. I'm a natural therapist or complementary therapist. I treat pain and discomfort. A person walks in with a label, they claim that label. It's like your religion or your name. You're given it, and therefore, once you've got it forever. I had a man came into me for a treatment a few months, maybe a couple of years ago. I remember it well because I said, how can I help you? He said, it's this old leg of mine. I said, so what's the age difference? With that, he said, that's stupid. I said, yes. And until you can admit it was born to the same mother on the same day, I can't help you. Once he got up and I created a change, I said, the words I said to him, now they look the same. And he said, yes, they feel the same. So I've changed his image. On the arthritis thing, people say there is no cure for arthritis. So I just say, I can't help with arthritis, but where's your pain? If I can change the pain, then it might not be arthritis. So once I've changed the pain, I said, well, maybe it's not arthritis. It gives them the opportunity to discard the label. A lot of us go off and we go to people and we love labels. I want to belong to this group, that group, whatever else. I'm in with the arthritis group. I've got it. And it's as if you have a companionship. Do you understand what I'm saying? I treat the pain and discomfort. And I'm hoping that that's what we put out there. And that's where I think we're getting the major results, is that's who we're focusing on. Okay? And thanks for the question. Anyone else, please?
Can I just ask about the lock-in? You know, when you've done a lower body and you have to walk up and down the corridor.
There's a system within the therapy that I use, and I call it a lock-in. If you just poke somebody and do nothing, then they don't recognise change. So what I do is I get a movement, and that's what they call lock-in. It's getting you to move and feel the difference as you do it. Each one of these people I got to move. In the movement of doing it, they realised that I changed it, because neither of them believed I had. Is this not true with you two gentlemen? You would not have believed I'd done anything. But once I got you to move and experience, then you realise that the change had been made. If I get you to do that 3 times, all of a sudden there's an anticipation, as you did with your shoulder, of, oh, it's go, ooh, I like that. And then I get you to do it, go, and you go even up a bit further. And then on the last one, you throw it up and say, hey, look how well I'm doing now. And this is what we're out to encourage. A lot of people need to be encouraged. They've had this pain and they're hobbling in. You do something and say, okay, now I've done something. They say, what are you talking about? And then you get him to sit down. But if I get him to do it with control, sit down, stand up, all of a sudden you can see this expression of it normally hurts, and then, I'll do that a bit more. That control back to the individual. That's what a lock-in is about. Getting them to physically note there is a change, and then go in and go out with a mindset that they admitted it. So I say, does it feel different? And you said yes. Did you say yes? That verbal exchange between you and I is enough to say, I admit he has changed me. Does that help? This is an adult underway of explanation, but it's a good one for me. Anyone else? Look, I can see some very good people here with questions. I'd love to answer them, so please. Yes?
Are you going to tell us how you can help residents in
Yes, very much. And here is what I need to tell you through different incidents. A person goes out and is working in, say, one of my therapists was out in a shopping mall, and she's seen a woman having difficulty reaching up to get a packet. And she said to her, would you like some help? The woman expected her to get the packet down. Instead, this woman did a little work holding 2 points on the latissimus dorsi, and then that woman was able to pick it down under her own power. What we're looking to do for carers and the people is to go out and create these changes so they can self-help. To go and give one treatment and just do something to go and get you the packet is an assistance. To go and give you the power to pick up the packet is a different thing. Therefore, this can go on. And if we instill in carers small, quick ways that you just seen me do that could help somebody, it doesn't take a massage bed, it doesn't take all the oddities that we need for therapy. You can do it there and then on the workplace floor. You can create a change, and this will help that person's quality of life. In most aged care centres, it's balance that gets people in. In Australia, many years ago, they did a study on a move that we call a gastroc move, where we increase people's balance. Now, what was put out after that by the Director of Nursing was they believed an emetherapist should be in each aged care centre because of the quality of life it improved, the less drugs that were given, and the better ability for the carer to work with them. So in just doing that, I need to pick out someone who's quite stable, who believes they're stable. No blondes accepted. I'm sorry, that's an Australian joke. Doesn't work here, does it? Is there anyone who would like to just see what I mean by a balance test, please? The gentleman standing up the back, would you like to come out for me? Thank you for this. Well, look, I'm giving you some credit. Back it up. Okay. What we're looking at is if this person was a carer and had an instability problem and they're trying to care for somebody and that person is wobble or fighting or disordering, and they could start, I'm just going to do something very quickly to him, and they started pushing him around, he really is a bit of a pushover, yes?
Yeah.
Come back. They can't control that person pushing and fighting. He has difficulty focusing himself, and to just prove it very lightly, if I touch him, his toes start to curl up and he's fighting to keep his own balance. Now, if he was working with an individual who was difficult to control, do you mind, I'm just going to do something on your feet just to show you how quick this can be done. In Australia, I'd get people to take their shoes off, but I'm not sure about your socks over here. Would you just like to just walk around a couple of paces forward and then go back there and just stand there for me? And I'm now going to do the same thing. Is there a difference? So now if I push around, so I stand on this again and away we go. As I said to you all, my background as a boxer, as a young boy, this is where the balance part comes from. This kid in some title fights, he stood on my foot to distract me so he could hit me. What I found was, I avoided the punch, but it took me a while to refocus and get myself steady again. I had to really concentrate. And this is where it all started from. Then I used it on my opponents, regular. Stand on this foot. Not to hit him, to distract him, but to get him off balance so he wouldn't hit me. So in this case here, if that was a carer who was having trouble and just couldn't focus as well, if we could give something as quick as that to restabilize him, then you right now would be assured of picking somebody up. You'd be confident, would you not?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. The other way, in that time, he's worried, he's trying to create, to control his own balance. The other part is for the person he's looking after. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. The other one is for the person he's looking after. What if a person who's fumbling around, my father had Parkinson's disease. And like all Parkinson's, the shuffle was on and off he'd go. I'd go down and I trained a person. First I went down and I'd helped him because we live thousands of kilometres apart. Then my partner Karen, who's here, she said, look, I used to refuse to teach treatment, Dad, because there was no backup. There was no one there, and it's so easy to float in, be a guru, do something and float out again. You look great. But the poor man was going through the anxiety of when it come back again. There was no backup, so I stopped from treating him. Until Karen says, you've got to do it. Show someone else what to do. So I did. I trained another man to treat my father. And my father's quality of life changed dramatically. From this little shuffle, you'd do his feet and do a couple of other moves to get his core stable, and his quality of life was totally different. The amount of carers that had to look after him was less. He wasn't aggressive anymore because the frustration wasn't there. And I remember getting a call once where he was hitting at carers. He did that thing and just lost it. And the frustration was he had lost control. When we gave it back to him, the man's quality of life and attitude changed. It also allowed other carers a free area to go and help less people that were definitely needed more support. So for supporters, to help them in management of the patient, for the patient themselves to get better quality of life, then you got a plus. And how simple was it to do what I've just done? You were surprised with that, weren't you? I also notice now you're standing different up there. Is that true? Before you were like this. No offence. But you look like you're standing there looking at me stable, which is what I'm looking for. Is there any other questions? It's nice to, yes?
How often would you need a treatment?
A treatment can come in this way. A treatment is when a person needs it. It has no time frame. Every person has their internal clock and depends on their job. If I was working with a miner in Mount Isa Mines, where I worked, where I first started this, was in a mining town called Mount Isa. A man is doing a repetitious mining and he's getting forearm problems. He has lost his grip, tendonitis, carpal tunnel. I would do him, he's paid $1,000 to $1,200 a day per shift. If he goes back to the day pool, he gets paid $100 a day. We know if he stops doing the job, he won't have this problem. But he's out to make the money while he can. He wants to stay in that mining contract for as long as he can. He doesn't want to go to the pool. So my job, help him out. He goes and does another 4 or 5 days. 5 days later, he comes back in, his hands are numb, they're all turning up. I redo it again. He pays me $30 in those years. It was $30. He went out and made his $1,200. Do you see? It does it. You can't dictate to people exactly how long because it depends what they're going to do in their own time. One of the biggest undoers of back problems that we work with is of a night time with restless sleepers, and especially over here fighting with the doona, trying to move that. Karen, by the way, my partner, she has 2 doonas on over here. Yeah, isn't that a surprise? You imagine what it's like when she rolls over, the whole thing moves. So if that weight is there, we don't know what they do in that. So let's not lock it into time on therapy. Let's lock it into possibilities that can happen. We relieve the pain and discomfort when it happens, not by time. This gentleman there wants to wear his watch. I was trying to pick a better word. Then we're going to treat him regular. If he goes and finds a nicer way, some of you people with your shoes, this is creating your imbalance problem. If you want to do them and the fashion starts to dictate, you're on, come back to me regular. If you want to think about what you're putting your feet into, because these are going to carry you around for the rest of your life. Some of us don't treat them as well as we should. And then I'll treat you regular. Okay, the right shoes, the right footwear, the good balance, then all of a sudden things change. Help? Thank you for the question too. All of you, thank you for the question. Anyone else like to come out with anything at all? In Australia, it says he's full of it. So you never know what's going to come out if you ask the question. I'm not sure what you need to know, that's all.
With cerebral palsy, if they're born with it, is there anything you can do for that?
I treat symptoms, not diseases, and what's fortunately and lucky the people that I've worked with, many have been professional people like physios and many people like that, where I've treated labels, people who have been given a label. I've treated certain conditions and they've changed quite dramatically, to the degree that one lady from Germany, a physio, actually had a treat with me and couldn't get any results there, and the label I'd given her, there was no prognosis, diagnosis, she'll never change. She flew over to Australia with her husband. They've now immigrated to Australia. I treat them maybe 3 to 6 months. And she has her quality of life totally back. Still drives a car, which she couldn't do in Germany. So I look at the symptom, not the label. Does that help you?
Yes, but when you're saying treating pain, well, cerebral palsy doesn't always give pain.
Pain, the word was pain or?
Pain.
Yeah, but what did I say? Pain or discomfort. So if there's a discomfort within the...
Balance issue and short hamstrings and that sort of thing. So.
Then that's what I'd be looking at. I'd be looking more at the symptom than what the label says. Does that help? Good. Anyone else? Nothing? Wow. Look, it's been a pleasure talking with you and presenting what it is. For those who are interested, the technique right now is in around 19 countries worldwide. We have what we call a short course, which is for carers, for people, for any types of sports people, just for self-help programs. It's called MTech. It's a short version of what is part of the Emmett technique. It was developed for where I lived was out in the Australian outback, and it was developed for people on stations who couldn't get in to see anyone for weeks on end. So these were little self-help moves that helped them. What I didn't realise was how many other people wanted them. And now it's gone worldwide. I think it's gone into 26 different countries in the world, the short course. The paraprofessional side is 19, and I only stepped out of Australia in 2007, so it's been fabulous. One of the things where it has its best is when they took it to Mongolia or Papua New Guinea, to the native people there. We taught the mothers who had no education as such, and they were helping their children for better hand coordination, better childhood development, by just resetting balance and getting certain things to coordinate together. It improved their quality of life, that the children were far more attentive, and they had better development and concentration. So these days, they're run here, and that's what we've got at the stall. You can pick up any information from there. They're qualified what we call tutors. These are practitioners who are trained in Emmett, the technique, and they're willing to share that with you. And the technique itself has courses for anybody whatsoever, and quite often the people who excel the best at it are those with the less baggage. So quite often, if you're heavily trained in other modalities, it's very hard to discard that for something that I'm going to put out there. How can that work when nothing else did? How does it do it? That after 10, 12 months of that pain, how did he do it in minutes? I once was said, he hypnotizes, he mass hypnotizes you. Well, how is it that 6,000 therapists have gone out and done the same thing and getting the same results? It's a technique that's user-friendly. And everybody has the ability, if they wish. Okay? Thank you for your day, and you're welcome to say.